1, 2. Okay, so we are good to go then. Let's see if I. Okay, let's have it like this. Okay, we are good to go with 61. Okay, um, okay, guys. Hi, good morning. Okay, if you can hear me, just say hi in the comment section. However, we're about to kick off. This is a different dimension from what we used to have. So, I'm going to explain some things you can see on the screen to enable you understand why we have this kind of setup on the screen. Basically, I used to solve the puzzles here, minimum of 15 puzzles, no, minimum of 10 puzzles, and maximum of 15 puzzles based on how far we can go. However, in this new stream, this new targeted stream, it is titled Creating Variations. However, most of the beginners, excuse me, they don't really know how to create variations. They don't. All they do is just play without having a concrete variation. Even if it is not going to be a working variation, at least they should know how to create it. So on your screen right now, you can see my microphone, my marker, and with the marker here, and I have a page by the side of at the top right hand side of the screen that will enable me explain better by text. I'm going to write out the moves as I see them and enable us enjoy the learning process better. I am currently using Lichess, and this is how we do it. I go to Lichess, I reload. Once I reload, it gives me a new puzzle, something like this. The puzzle that was there before has gone. So we have a fresh new puzzle currently on the screen. And this puzzle needs to be settled. We need to find a winning variation for the puzzle. Okay, in that understanding, let's check out how can we create a winning variation. There's one of my video on this channel. I explained a a little fact, or let's say 5 facts about how to solve puzzles in my own understanding. In this case, um, I'm going to apply some of those ideas here. You see, on the screen currently, we need to know what kind of position are we dealing with. Is it the opening stage? Is it the middle position or the end game position? However, when looking at this alone, you know this is the end game position. The queens and minor pieces are off the board. It's remaining only the kings to themselves and some few pawns. This is the puzzle ID. The puzzle rating is hidden. It has been played 164 times. It is black to play. These are the people that played the game that the position was extracted from. Then this is the PGM for the games. So what you can say is just that we have the writing material just by the side that will help us better to understand. Then back to here, back to this position. What to do? How can we extract a winning variation still and the idea behind this position? Good. Let's look at the last move by White. White played this move and it comes with a check. This move came with a check. So how do we iron this out? You know, in this position, we need to be concerned with the goal. In the end game, one thing you need to understand is at times you are left with trying to create a passed pawn to enable you get a queen into the game to win the game. So how can we achieve that here? That's one of the motives because we have pawn race in this end game. That's one of the motive now. How can we maneuver the king and the other pieces, the pawns particularly, to create a pass pawn? So that variation is what we are going to look for in this video. So the first thing we are going to consider is one, you see, without any arrow on the board, without any arrow, let's look at what can we see. This move comes with a check from white. White has made a check to the king. That is, the last move by white is g4 check. How do we address this? We need responses for black. The response one that's easily seen in this position is pawn takes for black. Oh, pawn takes. Let's say the pawn on h takes that pawn on g4 with check. This is the first response. Then another response can be king to g5. If king moves to g5, we need to find in these moves which one is better for us. There is also king. There's a king move. There is one move here, king. You know, we need to check all possible moves. There's king to e5, king to e5 is e, and king back to f6. You see, let's talk about the advantages of these moves. Why are these moves listed? Then which one gives us winning variation, or probably which one helps us achieve the aim of getting a pass pawn faster with some minor understanding? So, just checking some few settings. Just give me some time. Let me confirm something. Okay. Okay. So we are good to go. Let's continue. So, from your own perspective, you should be picking up an idea right now. If you are not, fine. It's a gradual process. You're going to learn from this video. See, don't be scared to attempt puzzles. Failure leads to prosperity, or failure leads to profit. Failure leads to growth. If you do not fail, you won't know your strength. So, to avoid wasting much time, you see, let's calculate. This is where it comes. Let's calculate with this first move and see if we can mark it as good. I have another pen here. Let me see. I have this. Let's calculate with this. Okay. This first move, pawn takes on g4. Go back to the drawing board. And let's see from here. If pawn takes, let's say after h6 g4 check, white will follow up on the third move. White will follow up with um it's possible white to follow up with king to g3, king to g3. So what we are going to see basically with this variation I wrote out just now, can you see it? I think the variation will be, let's clear this. Pawn takes, response, pawn takes, check the king, king moves to g5, the king will move to g3. Now look at this position. The king is here, the king is here. That will put black king in Zhuang and make black king to retreat back here or here. Then this king can now invade. If this king takes control of this square here, black is losing. So this variation is under check. We are still checking it. So let's create a new variation, another one. I'm going to write this one out in full so you can see it. Now, in this case, you come here, have a page like this. The variation I created is this. One, white played the move G4 check. So the first move we are considering from here, which is pawn takes on G4 check, is we considered pawn takes. If pawn takes directly, let's say pawn takes, the pawn on H takes the pawn on G4, checking the white king. The second move, if white takes with the pawn here, G4 will check. Then black king will go into, king will move to G5. That was what we did here. So we did it in this position where we have king to G5. Then white responds with king to G3, which will put the king in Zhuang. So on the third move, king to G3. You get it? This is the variation we have created. This is the first variation. So I believe you can see this. Well, we're working things out. We're going to make, so we are still checking this. Then let's see the second variation is just creating variation as 4 G4 was the first move. We are considering the second, the response here. So we listed some couple of moves immediately that could enable us win. We have considered this first one, which is pawn takes on G4. Let's look at the second one, king to G5 straight. If king to G5, what is the benefit? Okay, I assume you can see it. It's just this bigger marker is consuming space. So let me think. Let me use maybe blue ink, G4, G4, then king to G5. This is fair. Okay, if king to G5 instead of going to take the pawn with the pawn. So what do we consider here? King to G5. Second variation. Second move in this variation. Second move. What do you think black would do? You see, it's fair. We are going to see some kind of moves like king follows immediately or pawn takes. So this move, which is king to G5, invites pawn to take instead so that we can take with our pawn. If king moves, then we play pawn check. If pawn moves, then we just play this square here. Place with this square. The variation is becoming clearer little by little. So king to G5, pawn takes with king to G5, pawn takes. Can we not take with the king? Yes, we can still take with the king. So I think I will stay with the variation where king to G5, pawn take, king takes. So let's say we create that. King to G5, pawn takes. This one is now the G pawn. The G pawn takes the pawn on H5. So in this case, what do we do? I stick with the variation where I'm saying that the king should take that pawn on H5, moving the king. So this variation mobilize my king. King moves, pawn takes, king moves again. Now king is on the H file. You see? Then what do you think the opponent, which is white, can do here? In this case, this is what I'm thinking for this variation. After this check, king to g5, pawn takes, king takes that pawn. The king cannot go after this pawn now because we are now closer to this and we can promote our pawn easily. So if the king is here and the king is still here, then if the king come closer, we'll just push the pawn here to g5. He has no choice but to move the king. So the king has to go up or come back here. So what we need to do is push the king up. The king comes somewhere here. Then we push the pawn, trade pawns here, and now we are closer to this pawn, faster than the king. In some of this kind of endgame, what if pawn takes? Pawn takes, we check. We move. You see, another kind of variation. So that is one other variation. This one, I ended it where? Where did I end it? I end it at king takes h5, g4 check, king to g5, pawn takes, king takes on h5. Then let's assume king to g3, king to g3. Then we'll play pawn to g5. This is another variation. So we have that. Okay. So oh, my voice have feedback. Okay. Okay, I think the voice is clearer now. Fine. Let's see one more variation. Then we can pick the one that gives us profit. There is a variation with pawn takes immediately. I think we highlighted it here. This is it here. This is the first one. Pawn takes. Then there is this, rule out this and rule out this. But solution can be with them. However, learning to create variation is one thing, and understanding winning variation is another thing. So the two of them need to be identified. We are creating variations currently. Then time will come for us to pick which one is a winning variation or which variation can favor us in getting good results. Okay, so in a case like this, okay, good. In a case like this where we want to create more variations, this move is coming with check. We need to understand where we stand with these other pawns too. If we go with after this g4 check, after g4 check, we are here. We did a variation with pawn takes on g4. If pawn takes and pawn take, can we move here? You see, this is nice. You can just move to this square. So pawn takes on g4, we check. Second move, white takes that pawn on g4, will check. You can just move the king to e5. You see, this place is different. This, what we did here was king to g5. Now we are doing king to e5. The difference between king to g5 and king to e5 is this. We are taking cognizance of this particular pawns. If this pawns is eliminated and this pawn is here, this pawn is here, right? Now this is not on the board. For example, after this take, and this take. We have this to this. Good. If I play this move, king here, what do you think white will do? White can follow. You get it? Now we'll play this. We can now play that move. So let's say on the third move, in this new variation I've created, on my third move, move 3, let's take for example, king moves to e3 instead. King moves to e3. You see it? We can lock everywhere with pawn to g5. If we lock everywhere with pawn to g5, white must move the king. In this case, if the king is standing here and I play this move, let me put it somewhere here, pawn to here. You know, my king is here, my pawn is here, and the white king is here. The white is obliged, is forced to make a king move. If king moves here, then we enter this place to take this pawn. The king was there. If the king goes back to protect, then we come here. Now, this square is covered by this pawn. My king is here covering this square. That left the king to make a move somewhere here. Or moreover, we can even do it this way. Instead of coming here, we can just go to this square, seize the opposition, and the king is down there. So I think there is a winning variation aside from this. This was the first one we had. This was the first variation we had, and okay, so I'm back. Mr. Moshen, I was not feeling too well, so I had to rest. Okay, so back to where were we? I believe you can see. So by now we have created a winning variation. Let's go back to this place, and now I can write with this big marker so you can see it clearly. I think I have a variation that is promising. White plays g4. White plays g4. I responded with pawn takes on g4 with check. White plays pawn takes again with check. You see it? So in this case, instead of playing king to g5, I decided to play king to e5 instead. I think this is the move. So with king to e5, you can now wait for white response. Don't mind me, I'm trying to do many things at the same time. So g4 was the last move. I responded with pawn takes with check. Yes. So with this, pawn takes, check, king to e5. Cross-checking its variations is another thing we need to do. Let's cross-check properly. In this case, why not play king to e5 first? The problem would be pawn would take, king, and I'm far from the pawn. I'll be too far from the pawn. I think that's fair enough. It's a good reason for me to approach it with pawn takes right away with check, then king to e5. I approach it with this pawn takes, and I'm approaching it with this king to e5. That is fair enough. I think we can go with that variation. So with this kind of long explanation, I think we can stick to solving fewer puzzles. However, let's check out the variations we have created. I've created 3 variations with minor differences. It is just for us to catch up. The first variation is with g4 check, pawn takes on g4. I'm playing black. This is my response, the first one. Then if white takes, I play king to g5. King to g5 makes my king immobile at the point because If king plays to g3, I am forced to come back, which keeps my king in z1. So I'm limited in number of squares. I have to come back, and white will dominate using the square e4. The next variation I created was after this pawn to g4 check, I played king to g5 instantly. Pawn takes on h5, king takes on h5, king to g3, followed by g5. There might be an issue with these moves. However, we are going to work our way to victory by creating first, understanding. The last variation I created, which are 3 variations, includes there is g4 check from white, pawn takes on g4 check. Now, if pawn takes back, instead of playing king to g5, I now play king to e5 this time around. This one is king to e5, giving my king room to gain the opposition against white king. So I can now win with outflanking, then triangulation too. So let's see if this will work out. If it doesn't work out, we are going to learn where we went wrong. Nobody is here to tell you I'm the ultimate puzzle solver. I'm only here to guide you with the little knowledge I know. So we are growing. Nobody is the best. Everybody fails. Even grandmaster fails. So don't be scared to fail. Just quickly run it down because the video is already long. If I do this, that's the first move. So I believe you can see the solution on the board. I'm going to follow it step by step. I'm going to start from here. Start from this one. Here's the first one here. I'm going to play pawn takes on g4. And if it's not correct, I'll make my correction. Let's see. Wow, we got the first one right. I'm clapping for myself. I tried. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to the Almighty for this wisdom, so I can guide you. I believe I have impacted you a little. Now you see the difference between playing this move. You see, in the first variation we had, excuse me, the marker fell. So in the first variation we had, you will notice that I played king to g5 here after this pawn takes to check. Now, and I made a new variation with king to e5. It's slightly different, just the move. So we are back to this position. Which one should we choose? Because the first move now is correct. We have passed the first test. Second test is the next move, the power of the next move. The power of the next move. The next move is very important. So, how do we squeeze out the next move? Which one is the best? Is it king to g5? Or we'll play king to e5. Let's talk about this. King to g5 allows room for king to g3. You see, now I'm forced to move the king. The king has to come either here or here. And this is it. If king comes down, white will just take in space by entering this square against my king. So my king is forced to move somewhere here or down or here. And this white king will just gain space by coming to this square. Stay there. The white king is closer and forcing me to make some bad moves. If I move to a square like this from here, the king will just take in space here. Then the next move, after I move, pushes pawn. Before you know it, things happens. So I believe we are making sense. But if I use here e5, with e5, I am exposing my king to squares like this, closer to this pawn. You get it? And trying to gain the opposition. See, watch this. King to this square, my king to this square. If king follows, I'll play g5. One simple in-between move and a waiting move. I'm trying to wait so that white can play. I can now take advantage. So after this, my move. Okay, this is my second move with this pawn. What is white's second move? If white makes a move like this, if it goes here, then I can now push my pawn. I'll just push this pawn. Sorry, I'll just put my king here because the king has left. The king is now here. I'll take this pawn. However, if the king goes back home here to defend this pawn, I'll take here. I'll take this road. You see, my pawn is here occupying this square, controlling that square and controlling this square. So this white king is boxed out. I believe this square is quite explained. It's understandable at this point. That is clear. That is the best. Yes. So let's talk about that. Let's do that. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do this. If it's wrong, make correction. Now you see, we are correct. Kudos to this second move. I'm happy I am getting it because it's an assurance that I can take it to a good journey. Now what to do? You see, this king has limited numbers of squares. If I play this move right away, which is my variation, it's there. It's there. I wrote it here. See. I'm following what I wrote. See it here. The one I wrote here. See, I wrote king to e5. After my king to e5, if white goes for king to e3, I said I'm going to play g5. I'm not going to go away from this. So I want to play g5 now. g5, g5. If I play g5, I'm trying to cross check because these moves, if you play it in a hurry, most of them are not actually accurate. You know, we are not grandmasters. We are just an average chess player. So from here, if I push g5, benefit, pawn covers here, which puts white king in a must play king move. So if the king moves to a square like this, I take space by coming here. Period. If he goes in, I come here. If he goes in, I will come here. So, in fact, if the king comes here, I can just reach out for this pawn because the king has a long way to come back and take this pawn. But then I'll have promoted. Ideas. Let's do this. Ah, that is wonderful. See, for this first edition, first episode, I have tried. I tried to set up to have this kind of setup so that I can easily show the workings and show you my thinking process and how I come about solutions when solving puzzles. I'm going to end it here. I'm sorry it's short. However, I'm working on creating longer videos like this. But when I explain this long, it takes up time in the video. So making it short per episode, one stream at a time, one puzzle at a time, makes it easy for you to go back, watch, and study. Yes. So if I bunch it up, most of the times, before you get to maybe the 10th puzzle or the 5th puzzle, you'll be tired. Yes. I'm working on it. I'm trying to work on the camera of that paper. The camera of the paper is really what is going to give me challenge. However, I appreciate you being around, Mr. Motion, and I believe you have learned something from this particular episode 1. So please, in episode 2, I will try to do more, especially explaining better and faster. It's too slow for real. However, I'm trying to make most people follow up with the speed. We cannot carry everybody along. Yeah, but it is good for beginner and my students. Those people who wishes to just get their feet into solving. Not everybody are advanced as we all are. Everybody's trying to get their feet into solving puzzles and solving chess. So like I said, this is an end game tutorial where we'll see how to create variation. The idea is to learn how to create variation. After creating variation, you can find how to create winning variations. It is. So I'm happy you guys stick around to this moment. If you are just joining this now, do not forget, if you enjoyed and gotten value from this channel and this video, do not forget to subscribe to the channel for more. Check me out on Facebook, check me out on YouTube. My YouTube is always active. For those of you who have been on my YouTube for a while, you will notice that I drop fresh content and I try to be real to everyone as simple as possible. So thank you for watching. See you guys on the next stream and the next episode.